back. My name is Yasmin, for those of you who don't know. For those of you who do know and have already subscribed to my channel, welcome back. I am a mother, I am a nurse, and this is my channel, so let's just get into it. So today I thought I did a birth vlog. If you haven't seen it, please check it out after this video. I will leave the link down low in my comment box. But I decided to do a little reminiscing and kind of talk about my birth story. I know with vlogs you can kind of see everything, but just giving the details, I didn't want it to be super long, so I'll try to make it as short as possible, but kind of just give you guys an idea of how my birth went from the beginning of my labor to the end of my labor, and kind of give you guys just an understanding. I am a first-time mom. This is my first child, so for all of my moms that are having a child for the first time, I hope this gives you a little bit of comfort. I personally watched so many of these videos and so many birth vlogs leading up to giving birth to Logan, and I would just be sobbing in my bed just watching all these videos, so excited and so nervous and just so anxious about definitely giving birth. So I hope this can definitely help you guys, and let's just get into it. So everything is reminiscing from the past. I gave birth to Logan now over a year ago, in the summer, so I vividly remember like everything about my birth. So yeah, I was supposed to be due on June 25th of 2019. That was my due date, and I ended up going into labor and eventually going into the hospital on June 20th. So that was 5 days before my due date. And leading up to that, like leading up to like going into labor, I initially started out my pregnancy with a lot of morning sickness. I had morning sickness, nighttime sickness, whatever you want to call it. I threw up after everything, so that was not fun at all. And then I got a medication that was like life-changing for me, to help with the nauseousness and the vomiting and things like that. But I was like sick for a while, and then after I got over and started taking my medication, I ate everything because I feel like I was just missing out on everything, so I could not eat. So I ate anything that wasn't nailed down. I ate. That was like what I enjoyed, was just eating whatever I wanted. I would like go on a lot of walks and things like that. But yeah, that was at the beginning of my pregnancy. So I was super happy to be like over my morning sickness and things like that. But leading up to being in labor, about 2 weeks before I went, or about 3 weeks before, I went on like this like nesting, they call it like nesting, where like you clean up and you have so much energy and you're like cleaning up everything. Like I was cleaning up everything, like every corner, any little dust, any little thing that was just not supposed to, out of place and not supposed to be there, like I was cleaning it up. I was vacuuming the vents in my ceiling. Like that's how intense this was. Like everything was clean. I was moving, going behind things, cleaning up all the dust and everything. Like windows was being cleaned. Like anything that I could clean, I was cleaning. And I had so much energy. So that was about a couple weeks before. And then the week before I went into labor, I got really sick again. So I started like getting super nauseous. I couldn't hold any food down. And I was like throwing up again. And so I kept like Googling, like, is this like signs of early labor, things like that. And it kept saying like, when you're about to go into labor, you can get nauseous and vomit again and stuff. So I was like, Logan's coming. Like I was getting super excited, but I was also miserable because I was throwing up again. So that was like the week before. And then I ended up going into labor. So the morning of the 20th, like I went to sleep fine. I was sleeping, and then I woke up at like 3 a.m. And I just felt like I had super bad menstrual cramps. Like it didn't feel like contractions, even though I didn't really know what contractions felt like, because I was a first-time mom. But I was like, I don't really feel like these are contractions. So, but they did feel like really, really bad menstrual cramps. Like I knew what that felt like because I've had bad menstrual cramps all my life. So I was like, this is like really bad. I'm not sure. I couldn't really go back to sleep, so I kind of just was up. I didn't really tell. I was living with my parents at the time, and I didn't really tell them like anything like I felt or anything. I was just kind of laying in bed and like, I can get over this, it's fine, like whatever. I have 5 more days to my due date, like whatever, I'm fine. So I kind of just laid around in bed. And then as the morning like got as it like got later in the morning, the menstrual cramps or per se was getting worse, and I still wasn't convinced they were contractions, even though I don't know what contractions would have felt like, but I wasn't convinced. I was like, these aren't contractions. They are just, I'm really uncomfortable. And then yeah, it just felt like really, really bad. Just menstrual cramps is the best word I can use to describe it. So it got a little bit worse. So I remember like going in the shower and just like sitting there in the shower. And I was like, this is the best that I felt. Like that was the only place that I could like find comfort, was like in the shower. So I just like stood in the shower, and then I like started crying because I was like, this is getting worse. This is probably this is probably contractions at this point. Like I'm really uncomfortable. So I was like sobbing in the shower, and then like I finally told my mom, and I was like, listen, like I feel like I'm in labor or something. I don't really know. I am like really uncomfortable. I feel like I'm having contractions, but I don't know because I've never felt them before. But it was just like, I was just so uncomfortable. Like, you know how you just get antsy? Like I was just super antsy. Like I couldn't sit still. Like got in the shower and sat there, and then I got out of the shower and I got back in the shower because I was like, this is the only thing that makes me feel better. So I was like very antsy and like couldn't sit still because I was just so uncomfortable. I ended up getting out the shower, like getting dressed, things like that, because I was like, I'm probably gonna end up in the hospital today. Let me like get dressed and like do my hair and stuff like that. So I ended up getting dressed, doing my hair. And my mom was working. She had like she was working from home. My dad, I think, was at work, so he worked like out of the state. And then so my mom was the only one home, but she had just got a different manager, so she had like all these meetings all day, so she was just like preoccupied with all that stuff. So I'm like in the house like getting dressed and stuff like that, and then I come downstairs and like I was like, this has to be contractions. Like it was so painful. Was happening like every like 10 to 12 minutes. And I was like getting like really, really bad contractions. And I was like, oh my God, like I feel like I'm in labor. So I remember like laying on the stairs, because that also gave me comfort, which is not strange for me, because when I used to get like really bad menstrual cramps, the stairs or the cold floor in the bathroom was like the two places that like I was always at, because for some reason they gave me comfort. Like I don't know why, but I just felt comfortable there. So I remember laying on the stairs in a blanket. Like I had a blanket on me, and I was like laying on the stairs because I was like, this is the only thing that's making me feel better besides the shower, and I'm not getting back in the shower. So I laid on the stairs, and I was just in like so much pain. Like my contractions felt like the worst thing ever, and I was like, is this what I have to go through for an entire like day probably? Because this is awful. Like I was in so much pain, I was in so much discomfort, and I was telling my mom. I remember calling the doctor, and I was like, hey, like I feel like I'm having contractions, like I don't know if I should go to the hospital or not. And they were telling me like, if it's 10-12 minutes apart, like just to wait at home, because they probably will send you home anyway. So I was like, I can't wait at home, like I am in so much pain. And I was like counting my contractions, like how long they lasted and how far apart they were, on an app. I forget what app it is, but they have like a million like contraction apps in the app store, so you can like find one that works for you. But I remember doing that, and I kept doing it, and they were like, wait till they're like 5 minutes apart, and I was like trying to like wait it out. But then like my contractions, the intensity was getting worse, but they were still staying like 10 minutes apart, but the intensity of the contraction was getting so much worse. So I remember like getting off the stairs and going to my mom and was like, Mom, I'm going to the hospital. And she was like, Yasmin, like just wait it out, let's just wait here. She was like, I can't leave right now, like I have this very important meeting that I have to listen in on, like my new manager, whatever. And I was like, Mom, you don't understand, like I'm going to the hospital. I was like, so I was calling like my cousin and like my dad and like someone for them to take me to the hospital. No one was picking up and like able to like get home in time to like take me. So I was like, Mom, I'm going to the hospital, I'm gonna drive. And she was like, Yasmin, you are not driving your car to the hospital. And I was like, well, I need to get to the hospital like right now because these contractions. And anyone that knows me knows that I'm dramatic. So I don't know if I was being dramatic or my hormones or the contractions were like that bad, but to me they felt like the worst thing I've ever felt. So I was like, I'm getting to the hospital if it's like on my own or not. So my mom was like, Yasmin, you're not going to the hospital. So I was like, well, I'm gonna Uber. Like I'm getting in an Uber and I'm going to the hospital. So eventually she like was just tired of my nonsense, and she got her laptop and she just like drove me to the hospital. So I get there and I go to triage, and I was like, I'm having contractions, like I think I'm in labor, and all that. So they like take me back. I'm like sitting in the waiting room. My contractions like seem like they're getting closer, but at this point I like stopped timing them because I was like, I can't even concentrate on timing a contraction because I'm in so much pain and I'm trying to like breathe through it and things like that. So I like stopped timing my contractions. I was like, I don't know how far apart they are. I can't focus enough to be able to do it. So that app just went out the window. So whatever. So I'm sitting in the waiting room. My contractions are like literally awful. I feel like they're getting closer together, but I don't know because I stopped timing them. So I end up going back to the triage room, and I like get in a gown. They put the baby monitor on to like look at the baby. They give me an IV. They just give me like a bag of fluids just while I'm waiting, and they're gonna like assess me and see how far along I am and things like that. So I knew going in that I was already 2 centimeters because at my doctor's appointment on, this is now the 20th. So my doctor's appointment on the 14th, I was 2 centimeters and like 75% effaced, I think. So I knew I was already 2 centimeters. So I was praying that I was like more because I was like, let's just get this ball rolling. Like I'm trying to have this baby. They checked me and I was still only 2 centimeters. So I was like, great, I'm going home. And then they told me that they only admit to the hospital when you're 4 centimeters. So I was just very frustrated because I was like, I can't go back home. Like I'm in so much pain. I can't do this, like these contractions at home. Like the idea of being in a hospital when you're having contractions is a little bit better than being in your own home and being away from the doctors and stuff. So I was like, you know, I really want to stay. But I wasn't like saying this to the nurse. I was like saying it in my head. So they're like doing my vitals and stuff, and I had a high blood pressure, and so they retook it. They gave me some fluids, and I still had a high blood pressure. So that was like the saving grace. Like I know gestational hypertension is like not the best thing, but that was the thing that got me able to get admitted then. So I was 2 centimeters, but because I had gestational hypertension, they wanted to keep me in the hospital and get admitted. So I was kind of happy that I got to stay and I wasn't gonna leave the hospital without Logan. So I got super excited and I was like, okay, I got this. So I remember being in triage and I was just having contractions. And a lot of my contractions were in my back. I think it's just based on position of the baby of why you have like contractions in the front versus the back, but all mine was in the back, which I'm not sure what's worse because the back labor was awful. Most of the time it was in my back. A few times I felt it in like the front, but majority of my contractions I felt in my back, which was awful. If you guys have had back labor, just let me know versus front, because back labor was like terrible. It hurt so bad. But I remember being in triage. I forget what time I got there, but I know I was gonna be down there for a few hours because they didn't have any rooms upstairs. Apparently the day I came in, like 10 other people decided to come in labor, and so like they were very full. So yeah, they said it was gonna be like 4 hours, maybe, I think 4 hours before I could get a room upstairs. So I was stuck in the triage room. I was just like walking around. They let me come off the monitor because for the most part Logan was doing like a great and her vitals were good. I was doing good. So they let me like walk around and stuff like that. So I walked around and I was just sitting there and I was trying to distract myself, but my mom was working, still working. And so I was just like, I was just super uncomfortable. And I remember just like my contractions were just awful feeling. That's all I can say right now is that they were just, oh goodness, awful. Over it.
Why? What's wrong?
Because I'm in so much pain.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But my contractions are pretty painful, I would say.
So where are you having your pain at? Is it all in your...
No, right now it's in the front, but I was having a lot in the back. Just give me a second. Once I got upstairs, I finally like got upstairs, and once I got upstairs, they rechecked me to see how many centimeters I was dilated. I don't remember how much I progressed. I want to say I might have been like 4 centimeters when I got up there. I can't even remember exactly, but I do know that around 7 o'clock, I was 6 centimeters. So when I got there around 1, around 7, I was 6 centimeters dilated, and I was 100% effaced at that point. So what, 7 hours from the time I got to the hospital, I was already 6 centimeters. And then I felt like I got stuck at 6. Like I was just super uncomfortable. Like I knew that I wanted an epidural from like the minute that I started having contractions. Like I always said, like, I'm not sure, like I'll make the call when I either can bear the pain or not bear the pain, but I don't know. I feel like my breathing techniques weren't the best, and I was just like all over the place, and I was like, I need an epidural. Like I'm not doing this naturally. So I kind of knew that.
Are you gonna do an epidural?
Yes. Is that even a question?
But yeah, so I was in like a lot of pain with my contractions. I was just super uncomfortable. I remember like laying in the bed. My best friend was there and my mom was there like when I first got there, and they were like, she was like trying to make me laugh and things like that, and I was just like so over it. I was like, I can't distract myself. It's just not helping.
Logan's coming.
I was like hooked up to IV fluids, and they gave me like a little birthing ball to like bounce on. I guess it helps with like labor and contractions and stuff like that, which honestly did not help me at all. Like I was bouncing on that and I was like, this isn't helping. Like I was getting so frustrated. My mom was like rubbing my back because I was like, someone rub my back, because it was just so much pain. This isn't helping. Mom, rub my back, please, get it out. My back. And nothing they were doing was helping. I don't know if I was just like, my mind was just all over the place and I wasn't giving it a chance, but I was like, this isn't helping. Somebody get the baby out. Like I was so over it. And with every contraction, like I was super nauseous. I did throw up a few times like with my contractions because they were so bad. Like I remember leaning, like I was sitting backwards on the bed and I was leaning on the back side of the bed because the nurse said that it was to help, and she was trying to give me other ways to try to help with the back labor. So I remember doing that, and my contractions were so bad that I kept throwing up. She gave me some ginger ale, I like threw that up.
Here we are. Birthing ball. Oh God. Oh God. Wait, where's the bucket? Oh no. Here. Oh.
She's throwing up. Hold on.
So I ended up getting some medicine to help, and that did help with the nauseousness, but obviously not the contractions. So I after the medicine, I didn't throw up again.